Last time on ASTRO'S DEV LOG. In a storm of rebellious productivity, Astro unveiled several new and exciting additions to Project 256, and prepared for his first ever cosplay competition. He also established new rules for how he's approaching Project 256, and unveiled his ultimate goal of finishing the visuals for the NPCs by year's end. It's been almost 2 months since last time, and there's no doubt that Astro has much to share. From his time at Anime Nebrascon 2025 to the progress with Project 256, it's finally time to check in with Astro-Drifter.
Let's do some contact with a test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they
This is a new and strange environment first. This suddenly finding yourself in orbit.
You got speed, Jonathan.
All right, lift off and the clock has started. Yes, sir. Reading it loud and clear.
Four computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Discovery Houston, I've got a good picture of Steve. Discovery Houston, right here. Discovery, going throttle.
Three, two, one, zero.
Now playing. Entry 18.
You really shouldn't have done that. You, peeked in on me while I was still putting this video together. And now, you've gone ahead and spoiled the entire thing for yourself. And what's even worse? I can't have you leaking this to anyone else. Hello, everybody. My name is AstroDrifter, and welcome back to the log. I know it's been a while since the last time I shared anything with you, but boy, am I about to make up for that. Before I get too far, I want to thank everyone for their kind words in the last video and on TikTok. Your support makes a world of difference to me, and I can't express that enough. Now, normally, I'd be talking about game development stuff, but this time around, I'm actually only going to be sharing my time at Anime Nebrascon. I have a lot to say. I promise next month will be all about Project 256.
What? No. I specifically hyped up Project 256 during the recap.
Oh. Well, sorry.
What the hell, man?
Hey, I'm sorry, alright? I can't help it if your recap was written and recorded over 2 months ago. It's just, I have a lot to say about the convention, and I really don't want to squeeze Project 256 updates into the same video, because otherwise, we're gonna be here for over an hour.
Fine. Carry on.
Thank you. Anyways, it looks like it's story time, everybody. So, put down your phone, grab a snack, and get comfy, because I'm about to weave you the tale of my very first cosplay competition. What? Oh, did you think I was kidding? No, I'm serious. It's story time. We've had these props in our warehouse for a while now, so I'm glad that we're finally going to get to use them. Anyways, back in September, I had this to say. Like I said before, keep your eyes on the social media pages for pictures and updates. It still feels like I have mountains of work to do, but, I'm hoping that's just anxiety leaking into the script as I'm reading it. And as it turns out, my feelings weren't too far off the mark. After I posted entry 17, I doubled down on my build book, gathering pictures, making drafts and edits, and praying Inkscape wouldn't crash. Progress was good. However, I had to keep making changes because I kept running into problems with the suit. For example, remember this sick ray gun? Well, during testing, it basically snapped in half. And since I didn't have time to make another one, it got cut from my final build. Another example? The hose that was supposed to connect from the back tanks to my chest. I couldn't get everything to fit together without tugging or pulling on the jumpsuit too much, so the hose idea was also cut. And then there was also an issue with the original jumpsuit not fitting due to shrinking. I had to get another one and start from scratch, but the one I bought was too big and I had to send it back for another. You get the point. A lot of things went wrong, and every single one of them directly influenced the contents of my build book. After a grueling 2.5 weeks in build book hell, it was finished. And after fighting with printers, I had all the copies I needed. Everything was done. The costume was finished. I could finally kick my feet back and wait for the convention to roll around. And here is where I would say the real story starts. As I was finishing the build books, I realized that I hadn't heard back on my application for the contest. With the convention only about a week out, I should have received a response by now. First I thought, oh, well, surely I just missed it. Perhaps it went to my spam folder. I checked. There was nothing in my spam folder. Oh, well, maybe I fudged the contact info on the application, so they sent the email to the wrong place. I checked my application, and my contact information was flawless. Understandably, my concerns started to grow. I checked their website for any updates or information about when people were to expect replies, but I found nothing. So I sent the convention's cosplay department a message asking what was up. Did they get my application? Was I ineligible? Was I just too early and responses hadn't gone out yet? All of these questions were swirling around in my head, and I wouldn't get my response until a few days before the actual convention. And when the response finally did roll in, I wasn't prepared for it. Apparently, I'd been waitlisted. For context, only a certain number of people can compete in these competitions. Otherwise, they'd go on forever. Those who are chosen are done so on a first-come, first-served basis. So, assuming your costume meets the convention standards, the sooner you get your application in, the better. So, the wait list is for those who applied but didn't make it in. If you're on the wait list, you still have a chance to compete, but only if someone who's actually on the roster drops out. Then you get to take their place. Now, some folks are more than willing to hold out for something like that. But me, I was distraught. To me, this was 100 times worse than just simply being denied. I thought I was going to have to spend the next few days, and even part of the convention itself, still wondering if I'd even get to compete. And I couldn't do that to myself. I hadn't gritted my teeth through 6 months of prop building just to get stressed over a gamble. And I also had a moral issue with the concept. After all, you are basically banking on someone who has also spent an enormous amount of time building a costume to experience some form of misfortune, costume-related or worse, and as a result, cancel their application. I didn't want somebody else's suffering to be the reason I made it up onto the stage. Maybe that's an extreme take, but that's the way that I saw it. So I devised a plan. Because at this point it was only a few days before the convention, I gave up on using emails. Instead, the moment the convention doors opened, that Friday morning, I was going straight to the cosplay staff area to see where I was on the wait list. If I wasn't at least third or fourth, I was going to remove myself from the list so somebody else could move up. Well, that's not how this played out. Because what I interpreted from being waitlisted was actually wrong. At Anime Nebraskon, the waitlist is only active up until the convention starts. My understanding was that it was going to be active until the competition starts. So, when the doors open, the contestants are finalized, and the waitlist is dissolved. There wasn't going to be a wait for us to let you know while the convention was active, like I'd originally thought. I'd spent the days leading up hoping for a miracle at that booth. But everything had already been decided the moment my feet touched the convention floor. I went back home, heartbroken. I was just so disappointed. I'd spent months, countless hours, dreaming about walking out on that stage. Truth be told, I just wanted to show the world what I could do. I dreamed of all the hundreds of people in that audience. They would see me and hear the name Astro-Drifter for the very first time. I hoped to inspire them and lead them to go and do incredible things all of their own. It's what I worked so hard for. But unfortunately, in the end, I'd never make it to that stage. Yet, the show had to go on. In true Astro-Drifter spirit, I wasn't going to let this keep me down. After all, I'd done my very best, and I could be proud of that. Things just hadn't panned out, and there was nothing I could do about it except make the most of what was left of the convention. And so, while it did weigh on me, I managed to pull myself together and I marched back to the convention center, ready to make the most of it. A few hours passed, and I had a chance to catch up with some friends and start enjoying myself. But I couldn't help but wonder what could have been. What was it really like to be out on that stage? How would I have actually fared in the competition? What would have happened when my suit finally came underneath a judge's critique? All of these questions sort of stewed in my head, and my friends could tell. So they shared some interesting information with me. As it turns out, I didn't have to wonder for very long. There was no chance of me participating in the main competition. But apparently that didn't mean I was out of options. Enter the Hall Cosplay Contest. This secondary contest is just like the main one, except it's held privately and anyone can simply walk up and participate. You're still brought before the judges like you were in the real thing, but you don't have to worry about walking out on the stage in front of hundreds of people. Though, for me, that was kind of the point. So I wasn't immediately sold on the idea. But after all of my friends and even members of the staff strongly encouraged me to participate, I decided I would. So that night, I rolled up to the competition, in my suit, build books in hand, signed up.
Don't you feel silly? Don't you feel stupid? Don't you feel a little ashamed?
And patiently, yet anxiously, waited for my turn in the waiting room. When it was finally time, a staff person collected me, took my picture, and brought me to the back room where 3 judges awaited me. I handed each one a build book and did my best to talk about my suit. I didn't have a speech prepared or anything, so this sort of caught me off guard. Believe it or not, I'm not very good at talking about myself, which is pretty ironic considering. But to my surprise, this actually went very well. One of the judges was a fan of my color choice and impressed by my ability to match the shades of certain items without making them from scratch. Another was very impressed with my custom 3D printed parts and my tenacity to think up designs and make them at will. And the third was impressed by my ability to take everyday things and modify them to fit with my costume. When my time slot was up, I thanked each of them for their kind words and bowed out, trying to keep my composure. But I'll be honest, I left that back room blown away. Stage or not, I'd done it. I'd managed to get my costume in front of the judges. And they liked it. They really liked it. I can't really describe how that felt. It was certainly a strong cocktail of emotions, though. My friends tell me that I looked a little something like this. I felt anywhere from pure joy and pride to relief and satisfaction and even regret, all in the same instant. I'm not sure what you call that exactly, but I am willing to bet it has at least 3 syllables. At the very least, at the end of the day, I knew that I'd had something special, and I was proud of that. Sure, I wouldn't get to see the spotlight, but I'd made something awesome, and it was enough to know that walking around in it made other people happy as well. It wasn't the sparkling victory I thought it was going to be, but that night, I left prouder than I've ever been. The next day, I took it easy. I met up with friends, put on the suit, and strolled around the convention center, took pictures with other cosplayers. Life was good. By the way, if you're one of those lovely individuals who took a photograph with me, let me know in the comments. It's good to have you here. Sadly, I don't actually have any photos. Well, none besides these bad boys. Anyways, in my mind, the war was over. There was nothing left to do, there was nothing left to attend. I'd had my run, and I was happy with it. I thought about attending the competition, but I decided against it. First, because the line to get into the event was actually super long, and second, I thought watching from the audience was only going to amplify my regret. So, after having a great day with my friends, having a drink, and enjoying the night festivities, I went home once more. And this is pretty much where I expected the story to end. But that wasn't the case. Enter Sunday, the final day of Nebkon. Normally, Sunday is the least busy day of the convention. By now, most of the vendors in Artist Alley have been picked through, the majority of the guest celebrities have left, and most of the people in cosplay have returned home to start their next build or repair the damages from the convention. But me, I like going on Sunday. It's normally easier to walk around in my suit. I don't have to worry about bumping into people or scuffing parts against walls. It's nice. This time around, I didn't stay for the full day. I was tired, go figure. It'd been a stressful few weeks up to this point, and while all I wanted to do was strut around in my Astro Dude suit, it was clear that the events had taken their toll on me. Even all of my friends had already gone home, so by now, it was just me at the convention. My plan was to walk around the halls one last time, then recollect my build books from the cosplay staff, and head home. So, when I arrived that morning, I suited up and began to make my final laps around the convention center. And as I entered the Artist Alley for the last time, one of the vendors who was packing up looked over at me, and he yelled, "Hey! It's that space guy from last night. Hey! You won an award! I thought he was hazing me, so I walked over to him and I told him I hadn't.
Nope.
He was probably confusing me with some other space guy. But he was adamant. No, it was you! You won Midwest Avengers Judge's Choice last night at the award ceremony. I paused for a moment, and I thought, well, surely that can't be true. Obviously, if that was the case, the staff would have told me to be at the awards ceremony last night. Right? And this is the part where I tell you I didn't actually know AWHILE Cosplay had awards. I participated under the understanding that it was just sort of a chance to get some feedback from the judges. That's all I thought it was. But then the vendor said it. He said the one thing that would cut all of my suspicion. You're, Astro Dude, 2025, right? Every single bone, every single muscle, every single nerve, every single cell froze. An adrenaline rush took over at this point, so I can't recall the rest of the conversation. But I do remember getting the shakes and thanking him aggressively for informing me. And then...
Billy, do you hear that?
I feel that.
As calmly as I could, I made my way back to the cosplay staff headquarters to inquire further. But I didn't even make it to the room before I heard, "Hey! Astro Dude! We have your award!" It was the cosplay staff coming down the hall. I had to brace myself against the wall, because my body pretty much shut down at that point. The staff brought me into their headquarters once more, handed me my build books, and there it was. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. The months of ups and downs, every broken prop, every can of paint, every hot summer day, and every minute of sanding. All of my trial and error and hours of research. All of the doubt, burnout, and endless exhaustion. All of the last-minute fixes and absolute catastrophes. All of the times I had to start from scratch, and all of the sacrifices I made to meet my deadlines, and even making peace with missing the main stage contest. It all led to this.
So, doing whole competition, my choice for Judge's Choice Award was, drumroll please, Astro Dude 2025 OC.
Okay, so full disclosure, I did not think this video was going to be this long, nor did I think it was going to be this much work. But I'm 3 weeks deep and you're about 30 minutes long, so let's wrap this up, shall we? First off, I did follow up with the guy at the vendor's hall. I thanked him so much for letting me know. I didn't get his name, but I did get his picture. So if you know this man, find him for me so that I can thank him even more. I also did catch up with the judge, Midwest Avenger, who gave me the award, to thank him aggressively. If you think my stuff looks good, you should go check out his, because he makes me look like I bought mine from Spirit Halloween. As a matter of fact, all of the judges do. They're all extremely talented individuals, and I interacting with them was amazing. They're all so kind and so encouraging, and I cannot thank them enough. There will be links to each of their social media pages in the description. If there are any judges watching this, thank you so much for recognizing my work. Your kind words were already enough, but the award itself is going to encourage me for years to come. I cannot thank you enough. I waited till the very end to tell you this. This is my last convention. For a while. At the very least, I won't be working on cosplay for a very long time. And that is why it was so important to me that I got into the competition. But I've realized that it takes a lot more out of me than I thought, and while I do enjoy making cosplay, it also tends to zap huge amounts of time from other things that I'm working on, like Project 256. So, I'm placing all conventions and future cosplay ideas on hold until the time is right again. And not to follow up bad news with even more bad news, but now we have to talk about the convention. Initial drafts for this part of the script were very aggressive, especially after I found out that the convention had a photo shoot with all the contest winners and has posted photos from that shoot on their website. But I've decided that I'm going to take a live and let live approach to this. Anime Nebkon is completely run by volunteers. That includes the cosplay contest. All of these people are here because they want to be, not because they have to be. But I would have expected way better from a convention that's been operating since 2004. Now, before I get too far into this, I understand that I had plenty of faults myself. For example, I probably should have done way more research on what I would have to do to even participate in a contest like this. If I had, maybe I wouldn't have been blindsided by the build books back in August. And perhaps I would have known what to expect. But that's where I believe my faults end, because there were plenty of things the convention should have also done to compensate. First off, you gotta update the website with more information. As the months rolled by, I would check the website frequently and I would find absolutely nothing. I've heard from other attendees that the convention is way more active on social media, but the website should really be the end-all be-all when it comes to communicating with your patrons. I had no idea when or where the applications for the contests even opened, and if I had, I may have been better about pacing my costume. I also had no idea how the waitlist worked beyond the basic stuff. And what's super odd is the pamphlet that gets handed out at the actual convention actually had all of the information I just mentioned, which is useless considering by the time the convention starts, you can't really use any of the information anymore anyway. Second, if an attendee is going to be given an award, or even if they're nominated for an award, the staff should contact them to ensure they attend the ceremony and don't miss their chance to walk out on stage. What's messed up about this is that in order to compete in either competition, the main hall contest or otherwise, you have to sign up with an email. So there's already a means for the staff to contact you on the matter. Why they wouldn't use that for something like that just doesn't make sense. And third and finally, my feedback that would probably fix a lot of the issues I experienced: have more people on your cosplay staff. I actually want to give a huge shout out to the 4 staff members who were running the Cosplay HQ this year, because apparently that was it. All they had was 4 people on the staff. Or, at the very least, every time I was at the HQ, it always seemed to be the same 4 people. I don't know if they have more staff off-site to handle the emails, but that's ridiculous. Mind you, there were hundreds, if not thousands of people at Anime Nebrascon this year. A lot of which came for the cosplay contests. And you mean to tell me you only had 4 staff members running the whole thing? As volunteers? You can't tell me that's not just so stupid. Listen, if that's true, you need to put more people on this team, or at least you need to shrink the competition. Perhaps you ought to do both. Either way, I want to close this out by thanking these 4 staff for all of their help and all of their hard work, because I know there's a ton of stuff going on under the hood when it comes to running these conventions. Even though they were under a mountain of stress, they were kind, and they were caring, and they were considerate. And for that, they have earned my pardon entirely. But seriously, you need more people. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to bring this to a close. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life, probably. As for December, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do another one. I hadn't expected this video to be so much work. So we'll see. But if you liked this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. If you're interested in more from me, you can find me on BlueSky, where I post updates, and TikTok, where I post short-form content and memes. Links to those, as well as the social media pages for other individuals I mentioned, will be in the description below. Till next time, thanks for watching. This is AstroDrifter, signing off.